Once the autonomous database is connected with IAM, the next step is to set up mappings between schemas on the autonomous database as well as global roles to IAM users and groups. IAM user has to be mapped to a schema, whether it's an exclusive schema where you have a one-to-one mapping between an IAM user and a schema, or it could be a shared mapping where you, a database schema, called a shared schema in this case, is mapped to an IAM group. And just by membership in that group, an IAM user can be assigned or mapped to a schema when they log in. But an IAM user has to be mapped to a schema. If an IAM user successfully authenticates the database, but they are not authorized to any schema, they will be denied access. So some customers will have thousands of users mapped to a single shared schema because none of the users need their own particular schemas, but they may have different privileges and roles. And to do that, you can use global roles. Global roles are not granted to a schema. They are mapped to an IAM group, and just by membership in that group, an IAM user can get granted that global role and the privileges and roles granted to that global role. The operational efficiency of this is that through shared schemas and global roles, joiners and movers and leavers within an organization can all be managed within IAM without having to make subsequent changes in each database that user is associated with. So there's an increase in operational efficiency with a centralized role management with higher security. For this demonstration, we'll create two groups in IAM. That's going to be one which will map to a shared schema, another one to a global role. So first, go ahead and go to the identity security to the groups. Click on the blue button to create a group. First one will create Dba Users. This is for the shared schema for all the database users. And we're going to add a user to the group. I already have a test user. That's added. So the Dba Users is one of them. And the second group is for the admins within that group that need the additional privileges and roles for being a database admin. And this group we'll call Dba admin. Create this. And this same user is also an admin for the database. So we'll add that. There you have it. That's what the changes you need to make. Make sure the groups exist in IAM. Now we switch to SQL Developer Web to actually create the mappings between the database and IAM. First, let's make sure an autonomous database is enabled for connecting with IAM, and checking the identity provider type. You find that OCI IAM value indicates that it is enabled. So let's go ahead and do the first one. First mapping, and that's the shared schema. Create user Dba Users, identified globally as the IAM group name Db_users. So this create a new user, new schema in the database that's mapped to this IAM group. Now I won't verify that the IAM group exists, but please make sure it is there. Next is to map the global role and create role. It's identified globally again. So this is identified globally. It's a global role, and it cannot be granted to a schema. It can only be mapped to a IAM group. And there it is. And now you have mappings between a shared schema and a global role to two different IAM groups.